Clash Royale.
Obviously, you have to respect Bomber on your team, and I'm sure Dream does as well. The question is, who's going to show up for this best-of-1? That's the fun of Pro League. Who's got the better builds? Who's going to play it out better in just this one game?
Exactly, and for TBT, sometimes the builds can win you the games, but mostly it's about that mid to late game decision-making, tank positioning. This game can end if you blink, you know, because tanks blow up Marines so quickly. It is still a 7-0 vote in favor of Dream, but everyone has to remember that he lost to Ryung and was dropped out of the GSL in this very matchup.
For sure. So let's jump into game number 6 now on Frost for this TBT between Dream and Bomber. Down here in the bottom right, the Terran player from SK Telecom T1, it is Dream.
And his opponent to the top right in purple, it is Bomber. One of the oldest players in this league. And an ex-Brood War pro. Switched over to Starcraft 2 very early. Dream also was not an original Brood War pro, but played Starcraft 2 since a very young age. I think he started around 13 or 14, and was an ex-MVP player, and was picked up by SKT because they spotted, you know, they kind of talent scouted him early on, and he became one of the great SKT Terrans thanks to innovation. And we'll see how this one goes at these close spawns by air. I mean, they're closer than they could be at cross, but the spawning locations do allow Banshee play and early drops to be very effective, as well as, you know, Hellion-based openings. Bomber going for the 2 racks here, though, so putting on some heavy Reaper pressure, it looks like, from the outset. And that can punish a CC first, and this is really the only map where we're seeing CC first in Terran versus Terran right now. So perhaps just looking to get that early advantage.
Yeah, either way, it is going to be very safe as well if he just wants to sit back and defend with a couple of Reapers. They are going to kind of run into each other. You see that Dream immediately reroutes his SCV, and Bomber just sends it along the same path that it was going on. Was going to get the lucky scout, but now he knows 100%.
There's no way for him to deny the scout on the double barracks. Let's see if Dream continues to make the CC after seeing it. SCV comes up, sees 2 racks. And the SCV goes home. Back on the mini-map, you can see it. Going to make the CC on the high ground. So even already, yeah, Bomber doesn't get a huge lead, doesn't kill a bunch of SCVs, but he forces an alteration of Dream's build, and that's what StarCraft is all about at the highest level.
Yeah, and think about how different this game could have been also if Dream had scouted incorrectly. If he went down to the bottom left and didn't run into that SCV. He makes the CC on the low ground, and all of a sudden, he loses that SCV, it gets denied, it gets delayed. A Bomber begins to put on some pressure, maybe gets an early lead, but now we're just going to go into a pretty standard straight-up game as Bomber's been scouted out. Now he just makes the CC. It is going to be on the low ground, even though it is later, so it's not going to be too far behind Dreams.
Yep, pretty competitive timing here. Also, you know, because it's on the low ground, as you mentioned, he can mine from it faster. You know, won't have to use any flying time. 2 versus 2 here with the high ground advantage. This is not going to be something Bomber wants to do. He's probably going to turn around, although it was just barely out of the range of the second Reaper. Still, he doesn't stay because he knows it's too risky. This SCV is going to go for the follow-up SCV scout, or excuse me, SCC scout. He's going to see that this command center is in fact still building.
Begins to poke the CC and the SCV. Maybe better to try to run up into the main and see the production, but either way, he's got some units out on the map now. The Hellion is going to be fantastic against the Reapers. And you see that Bomber just backs off, wants to save those units.
Yeah, 3 Reapers, definitely going to be very useful on the defense here. Looks like we're going to see an insta-starport with that pre-made tech lab for Bomber. He wants to get the Banshees out right away. Guys, the high ground control with a nice split here. The grenade placement is really good, but there's not enough follow-up damage to keep fighting. And actually, okay, that's on the other side of things. I saw the Viking on the production tab because Orange was on top. Got excited about that potential there, but isn't going to make the starport on the tech lab after all. Is going to put the factory back. And let's see if he makes a safety cyclone or not, because that's obviously really common to do. You're not going to get a siege tank this early, and there it is. So
yeah, it's just the safe option, as you're saying, especially against Banshee timings. He's going to come in here at the same time to delay that supply depot, and at the same time get a full scout. Going to get away with all of his Reapers. Very nicely done. Dream needs to be careful about denying scouting at that ridge.
Carefully place grenades too to help secure the retreat. Oh, look at this scout. Comes in, is going to see that it is quick bio, sees the stim. Even going to do a little bit of harass damage here.
You can get that SCV. SCV is coming over, wants to die.
A lot of damage done to those Marines too. I mean, it's not the end of the world, but it was a lucky Reaper. The very quick stim here for Bomber. And, ooh, looks like Dream might be changing his mind here. Might be going mech instead after showing that barracks. Ooh. This is pretty sneaky. Even going to put the Hellions there to make sure he can deny. And he starts another factory, so he is going to be meching here. And he's going to get a third CC as a result. Let's see if he can hold on against what Bomber could put out here with this fast stim.
Yeah, I think he definitely can. With that many Hellions and, the quick tanks there, you notice that he was thinking about making the new factory on the tech lab, but then he decided, no, I want a tank instead of the extra Hellions. And also, he does get the Blue Flame upgrade as well with that tech lab.
I think it's for both reasons, that you mentioned. The safety tank, but also he wants the Blue Flame upgrade. He wants to do kind of like a Hellion-based, triple Hellion production, and eventually Hellbat composition, which is quite common. It's kind of the way most players are going into mech, with some variations on the Infernal Pre-Igniter timing.
And the early third is going to be super easy to hold. Like, it might get scouted, but there's not much that Bomber can do, just because of the defensive position here from Dream. He's blocking the front with his Hellions. He's sending them out to scout, even floating a Rax now to scout any drops coming from the top of the map here. He's got that tank in a very safe location. And he doesn't have to float that CC out right away. He can just wait on it, make a bunch of SCVs, and then when he feels safe, like he's got a big enough army with that mech, take that third. And once he gets the 5th and 6th gases at that third, it's going to be a pretty scary time here for Bomber. He's really going to have to put on the pressure.
I think Bomber has confirmed, even though you see that vision there doesn't show the entire story, that he confirms mostly that the barracks was not on the tech lab. And that's all he really needs to know, because now he knows it's not going to be the stim that he expected. This is going to be a mech-oriented play. I love how diligent Dream is being to deny scouting, whether by positioning or hunting down these Reapers. The units he always had at the top of the ramp made it tough for the Reapers to come in. After they did, he was like, all right, I'm just going to go chase them down and kill them so he can't scout me anymore. The armory that's coming up right now is going to make these 4 Hellbats, if they can survive just a few seconds longer. And he's going to come over here and might even get a second drop into the main. Let's see how he does this, because this is actually a really terrifying amount of damage that Blue Flame Hellbats can put off.
Let's see how Bomber moves his army. I think he scouted that one medevac that was coming near his natural, and he's sending out these medevacs now to go scout it. Notice still no 3rd CC for Bomber. He's very, very far behind on that 3rd CC. Does have a scary army.
Yeah, I think it's this quick stim. He's kind of saying, okay, I have the faster stim, I have the larger army versus what you're doing, so I'm going to try to break you before you have enough mech units to hold that 3rd base if you try to plant it. He's going to have combat shields in just a second. I don't think for Bomber the 3rd CC is really on the cards in this game. He wants to end it early. This Cyclone is going to make the drop defense a little bit easier, but it's ignored now that all Hellions get out. Can just roast this mineral line. Although good blocks there with the SCVs, he only loses 6. It could have been a lot worse.
There is a run by into the natural as well, and Bomber's turning around. Uh-oh,
he's exactly what Dream wants. He wants him to turn around so that he can hold on. Look at how much damage
this is getting done, too. He gets another 7 SCVs, and as you said, really the importance of it is delaying the push.
And now let's see. I mean, now that the SCVs are dead, he kind of has to push with this. He doesn't have a 3rd CC. Those Hellbats are not here for the defense. All these Vikings are going to be used just to push this back. But he doesn't have medevacs to allow the Hellbats to drop on top.
Great response from Dream. He has successfully identified what this is. Look at this. He's got so many Vikings he could maybe even snipe a medevac, but he floats that 3rd CC in the main, and he sets up the most defensive position possible with the units that he has. He's just going to defend.
Bomber's looking like he might just want to commit here. He boosts forward on top of these tanks. There's the scan to guarantee vision. He's got a lot of bio here, but not all of it is stimmed. Now it's all stimmed, and he breaks the tanks. He's going to get the last of these tanks on the low ground. Those Vikings in the air are going to clean up the medevacs and buy a little bit more time here, but Bomber still can't secure that 3rd CC, and this is a lot more bio. Another siege tank up here as well. SCVs are pulled.
SCV's being pulled, so important. All he needs to do is hold on here. And I wonder if he's going to land those Vikings at some point. That's a big part of his army supply right now, actually, outside of the tanks. And he feels as if he's held it off. He's like, okay, I'm just going to float it out now.
Yeah. He lost control of his third CC there for a moment. Now, the big issue here is that Bomber doesn't have a third CC at all. And he lost momentum with this push. The push is kind of designed to end the game. Lift the CC and then go further, and he couldn't do so.
All the medevacs got sniped too, so every single time Bomber stims this puny army is going to be very, very hurtful to it. It's going to take a lot of damage. And he's making 2 medevacs at a time, but there's so many Vikings still available here for Dream.
Yeah, and I mean, he's got enough C-Sinks here. He has the vision control. This isn't going to last much longer, I don't think.
Oh, nice Smiker here from Dream, just juggling those tanks, getting the repair as well. Bomber's push begins to look flimsier and flimsier. It's almost like he's hesitating, looking to go back here. But how do you play against Mech down a base with a smaller army and basically no pressure? You kind of can't.
You really can't. I mean, the only thing you could try to do would be to turtle. He is going to lift his main into the third base, which is quite common right now in the current meta. But we'll see if he can do some damage while turtling, because once you get max versus max, you hold on to your base. It's hard for the Mech Terran to attack. I mean, he can take SCVs out like this, which is going to further his lead. But once he wants to move out and push, it's going to be tougher to do so. So maybe Bomber can turtle and try to max, but it's just unlikely. StarCraft fans watching this. If you're a Bomber fan, I don't think this is looking very good.
I love that kind of drop. He drops the main, or rather the natural, and then sends one into the main to focus, or send the focus rather of Bomber over there. And now all those SCVs are transferring. He's losing so many of his SCVs. He's got 13 left.
I think he might just type out here after stimming into this tank line. There you go. There's the stim into the tank line.
That's going to be
GG. SKT going to take the lead here today in the regular format. Dream does it. Symbol was able to keep the hope alive, but Bomber could not close out the game there in our 6th set on Frost. Given the thumbs down as well. Wow. Very well played for the map.
Yeah, very nice play. I like his mech transition that you were saying. You know, just get the early third base, show the racks on the tech lab, you know, deny the scouting for as much as possible. He was very diligent with that. He got enough units out before Bomber really realized, and Bomber had that push set up. And the control as well during the push was fantastic. He really just identified what was coming, and he pulled so many SCVs to defend, and it just didn't matter that he lost all those SCVs. He's like, no, I defended, now I win. And that's the way it went down.
Bomber, you can see he looked very upset there in the booth. Yeah, and, I mean, Dream just played a straight-up game there, and even if he lost it, they saw the ace match behind them, so I think there was a little bit less pressure on this guy. He is the more successful player overall. He did get dropped out of the GSL in Terran versus Terran, but still against better Terrans than Bomber. And here are our results. SKT will take day 1. Now, if you're tuning in a little bit late, this is not SKT moves on to face KT Rolster. This is SKT wins day 1 of our 3-day potential match here in playoffs. So tomorrow, we're going to have the all-kill format, probably around 10 p.m., which is about 2 hours from now. The starting players for tomorrow will be announced. And it's just going to be those 2 players. We don't know who comes next. We'll have the map list as well. And it's going to be all-kill format.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty sick. We'll see if anyone on Afreeca really steps up to the plate. You know, is it going to be Curious? He took 1 win tonight. He was looking stellar in his game against Classic. But can he beat Classic and Innovation and Dark? And potentially Sue? You know, can he defeat that many strong players in a row?